Looking carefully at the level's visual composition, we notice that the type, number and position of many ground decorations have been slightly changed on Switch 2. Let's consider a few examples in Roller Coaster Derby. In this section we can see that the pattern of small rocks on the ground, although very similar, is not exactly identical. Here on Switch 2 some rocks are clearly missing. And here the original lone rock at the top of the slope has vanished on Switch 2. These subtle changes may come from deliberate, meticulous fine-tuning in the artistic direction, or maybe the developers had to manually recompose the ground decorations during the port process due to technical reasons. If you're fascinated by this nitpicky stuff, let us know your theory in the comments.
In his debut in Super Mario World, Yoshi was able to do a sort of moonwalk by moving backwards right after using his stun. In the Switch 1 version of Wonder, Yoshi can perform this movement as well, but check out this tiny detail. The puff of dust appears in front of Yoshi. Curiously, on Switch 2, Yoshi kicks up the dust behind himself instead. Having spent more than 200 hours on Super Mario Bros. Wonder, while playing the level Rolling Ball Hall on Switch 2, we almost instantly noticed that something was off with the reverse. After some experiments, we found out the reason. They changed the distance from which the characters can grab the reverse chain. As you can see here, in the original version, Luigi doesn't grab the chain's handle from this spot. You can tell we're holding the Y button by Luigi's dynamic stance. On Switch 2, from the exact same spot, Luigi grabs the handle, so the grab distance has been increased. This change makes it significantly easier to grab and pull the reverse chain while bouncing on them, often unintentionally. On Switch 1, this is far less likely to happen while playing casually. Upon further research, we found out that this change isn't limited to the reverse. Actually, it's a universal tweak that affects all the handles in the game. The different grab distance is easily noticeable using this handle in the level Roller Coaster Derby. On Switch 1, Luigi must be very close to the handle, partially overlapping it.
At the end of Piranha Plants on Parade, there's a little slope and then a ramp before the flagpole. A direct comparison between the two versions clearly shows that on Switch 2 the ramp has been moved 4 blocks to the right. The flagpole and the Toad House have been shifted accordingly, so their relative distance doesn't change. Looking carefully, we can notice that some ground decorations near the Toad House have also been repositioned. The white flower has been moved 3 blocks to the right, to avoid overlapping with the new flagpole position. On the other hand, the bushes in the background that were partially covered by the Toad House have been moved 9 blocks to the left on Switch 2, maybe to visually fill an otherwise slightly empty space in the new composition.
In the original version, when bouncing on enemies that cannot be defeated with a stomp attack, like the Mumsies, the visual and sound effects for bouncing trigger for every hit, as one would expect. On Switch 2, for some reason, the bouncing effects only trigger every other hit. We're not sure if this is intentional, could very well be a glitch.
In the world map of Pipe Rock Plateau on Switch 2 we can see the Koopaling's custom clown car crashed into a green hill in the distance. It only appears after defeating them during the intro of the new Bellabel Park expansion. There's another subtle difference here, hidden in plain sight. The cloud on the right is missing in the Switch 2 version. Nintendo probably removed it to avoid obstructing the view of the crashed Koopa Clown car.
On Switch 1, the field of view remains the same in both single and multiplayer. The Switch 2 version displays a much wider perspective in multiplayer compared to single player. What happens if we add players inside a level during single-player gameplay? Does the camera pull back in real time? No, it doesn't. The game maintains the same field of view just like in the original version. In the first video of this series we showed the new fast travel loading screens for each character, but here's another subtle detail related to this. On Switch 1, the loading screen shows a single Mario riding the propeller flower even when playing with friends. In the Switch 2 version, while playing in multiplayer, all the selected characters appear at the same time.
Besides the obvious changes to the general layout, there's a specific subtle design difference in the user interface. On Switch, the player options icon shows the symbol of a single Joy-Con positioned diagonally. On Switch 2, the icon has been redesigned as 4 Joy-Cons arranged into parallel horizontal lines, to better represent the option to increase the number of players up to 4.